Part 32. Entertainment, let you do a side job and set up a stall to tell fortunes. Author, Immortal Q int Love is. Chapter 311. As the conflict intensified in the live broadcast room, the audience gradually shifted their focus to the four old men. Does anyone think these four old men look familiar? What you said does make sense. I seem to have come across them recently while browsing Douyin. I see, isn't that girl's grandfather the former dean of the Chengdu Academy of Fine Arts? Are you talking about Mr. Song Henian? Yes, that's him. It turns out that these Four Treasures restaurant is opened by his family. No wonder it has such a status in Lutang City. Mr. Song Henian is a powerful figure in the calligraphy world. His attainments in cursive and running script are unrivaled by few people in the entire Dragon Kingdom. The door and motto of our university were written by the old man himself and have been in use for decades. The man next to him can't be Mr. Huang Wenyu. Not surprisingly, it should be. Good guys, when you say this, I suddenly realized that these four old men in the camera are not simple. That not so good looking old man should be Mr. Zhonglja. I just bought his copybook 2 days ago to prepare for a long time. The one on the far right with the cane can't be Mr. Li Rumei, right? Good guy, Song Huang Li Zhang, the four giants in the calligraphy world of the Dragon Kingdom are all here. I just want to ask if the old man is really famous this time. If you are just an ordinary person, it is indeed unlikely that you will know about them, but if you know about calligraphy, you will know how awesome they are. You don't have to know calligraphy. You can also search online for records of calligraphy and painting transactions in recent years. Let me tell you this, if any of these four old men writes a word for you, you can exchange it for a house. It can be called a human money printing machine. Their calligraphy works are all calculated according to the square foot, and 1 square foot can easily cost more than 100,000 yuan. I'll go. Is it really that exaggerated? It's no exaggeration at all. Their works were once given to foreign guests as national gifts. As everyone in the live broadcast room gradually revealed the identities of the four old men, the hundreds of thousands of viewers in the live broadcast room suddenly became uneasy. And the audience roughly understood the meaning of what they said before. They thought Yang Lin was not worthy of using that Fang Mo. But at this moment, Yang Lin, who had been silent for a long time, finally opened his mouth. This piece of ink has been for human use since it was made. If things are put to their best use, how can there be a waste of natural resources? As soon as these words came out, the attention of the four old men was immediately attracted. It was only then that the four old men finally took a good look at Yang Lin. As they watched, the expressions on the four people's faces changed slightly. Judging from their decades of experience, they were naturally aware of the extraordinary nature of Yang Lin. If they were asked to specifically tell what was different about Yang Lin, they couldn't tell. But somehow, the anger in my heart disappeared a lot. Perhaps he was impressed by his Chuchin temperament, so his tone of voice became much gentler. Little Taoist priest, it's natural for you to say so. But the same two pieces of beautiful jade, one is carved into a work of art, and the other is carved into a brick. Do you think they are the same? Although this sentence is very euphemistic, everyone can understand its meaning. Immediately, several members of the program team around Yang Lin became unhappy. How can you, an old man, talk like that? Don't you mean that teacher Yang just buried it and wasted it by using this piece of ink? That is to say, aren't you obviously looking down on others? What's wrong with the bricks? If I had money, I could make a solid gold brick and it wouldn't bother you. Besides, you have never seen teacher Yang's ability. If you had, you would never say that. After a long while, the other three old men were able to persuade him. Although this calligraphy was written by Lao He in his prime, his technique is already perfect. Even if a few of us are at the same age as him, we dare not say that we can surpass him. If you are a poor person, You won't need to say anything more when luck gets the better of you. Old sir, if I read it correctly, that calligraphy should be written by your own hand. But at this moment, Yang Lin's eyes suddenly glanced at the wall beside him. At this point, he finally confirmed one thing, that is, the young Taoist priest in front of him was not simple. Hearing Yang Lin's words, a trace of surprise suddenly flashed across the old man's face. It was indeed me, the old man, who wrote it. How did you tell? To be precise, it was a writing on the wall. As Yang Lin spoke one after another, the old man's eyes changed again and again. After saying that, Yang Lin rolled up his sleeves, picked up a pen from the side, dipped the ink in the inkstone on the side and started writing quickly on a blank rice paper. However, to his surprise, Yang Lin didn't seem angry about this. What do you think? The old man seemed to realize that what he said was too much, and he quickly looked at Yang Lin with an apologetic look. Even if he started practicing calligraphy from his mother's womb, he would only have practiced calligraphy for about 20 years. Yes, it's good to be ambitious, but being too confident may lead to an early death. If you can't win, we'll give you your money back. As soon as these words came out, the tall old man immediately laughed. Young man, I advise you not to talk too much. The calligraphy is like the person. This calligraphy is most consistent with your temperament, old gentleman. And if I read it correctly, this calligraphy should be a work of your prime. Okay. Then it's settled. Ability? What ability can he have at such a young age? It can be seen that your character had gradually stabilized at that time, but you could not restrain your sharpness. You must have been very satisfied with your work at that time. But what he didn't expect was what Yang Lin said next. Yang Yu just glanced at it casually and pointed at the words. Because there was neither a signature nor a seal on the painting, and the calligraphy was written by him more than 30 years ago, even his granddaughter did not know that the calligraphy was written by him. Just from this point alone, the old man had already taken a look at Yang Lingao. They never expected that Yang Lin would say such a thing. But as soon as they finished speaking, the tall old man laughed loudly and said, Old sir, why not do this? Pandeo will write another one based on what you wrote, and let you see how good Pandeo is. Yang Lin was able to recognize it at a glance, which was somewhat surprising to him. Okay. If you are ambitious, I will do as you say. I'm not as good as you, I will return the ink on the spot, and you don't need to return the money. If what you write can be better than what I wrote back then, I will give you this piece of ink for free, and I will also help you grind the ink myself. As soon as these words came out, not only the old man himself was stunned, but also the other 3 old men and the girl all showed expressions of disbelief. Entertainment, let you do a side job and set up a stall to tell fortunes. Author, Immortal Q int Love is. Chapter 312. As Yang Lin started writing in the quiet room, everyone's eyes were focused on him. Even the 4 old men were no exception. The cameraman immediately focused on Yang Lin's writing. Unconsciously, everyone held their breath. As Yang Lin's pen moved, lines of ink suddenly took shape on the white rice paper. There was no pause in the whole process, no delay between one stroke and one stroke. In less than 5 minutes, hundreds of words appeared on the paper. When he finished writing the last word, he gently threw the brush aside. With a clear sound, the brush was inserted directly into the pen holder next to it. And it was just such a sound that made the 4 old men on the side wake up from a dream. The first thing they did after coming back to their senses was to carefully look at the words written in front of Yang Lin. Looking at the expressions on the faces of the 4 people, there were varying degrees of changes. Especially Mr. Song Henian, after just a cursory glance, his eyes burst with indescribable brilliance. It seemed like shock, it seemed like it was disbelief, and finally the expression turned into a look of dejection. Not being able to stand still, he took 2 steps back and almost bumped into another table next to him. Seeing this scene, the girl with ponytail next to her hurriedly stepped forward to help her. "Grandpa, what's wrong with you? Are you feeling uncomfortable somewhere?" Listening to the girl's slightly concerned inquiry, Song Henian immediately shook his head. Then he took a deep look at Yang Lin. Finally he sighed and said, "As far as this holy order is concerned, old man, I am far inferior to you." After saying that, he took another look at the holy preface he had written 30 years ago. After comparing it, he suddenly picked it up. In the next second, in front of everyone present, he tore his proud painting into pieces. "Grandfather! Old crane! Old he, what are you doing?" When everyone wanted to step forward to stop him, the sacred preface written by Song Henian himself had turned into waste paper. And when this scene fell into the eyes of the audience in the live broadcast room, the audience immediately exploded. "Old man, what are you doing? Why do you want to tear it up?" Yes, if this calligraphy was put up for auction in the market, it would probably sell for hundreds of thousands. Isn't it such a waste to just be torn up like this? Obviously, the old man felt that what he wrote was not as good as Yang Lin's, so he chose to tear up what he wrote. No, I think the two words are almost the same. What they wrote should be Wang Zizi's holy orders. If you don't look carefully, you really can't see much difference. This is all for you laymen to see. If you look carefully, you can still see some differences. For example, the one written by Yang Lin is obviously more beautiful and charming in structure and composition, and there is also his own opinion between the lines. It is not much different from the one written by Xu Shensuo. As for Mr. Song's writing, most of it still follows the old path of the calligrapher, similar in form but different in spirit, and too deliberate in the strokes of his writing. But this was written by Mr. Song 30 years ago, so it's actually understandable. I have the same view. Although I only write a few strokes when I have free time, I can obviously feel that the words written by Yang Lin look more comfortable. 30 years ago, Song Lao must have been in his 50s. When he was in his 50s, he lost to a young man in his 20s. If it were me, I would have torn up what I wrote. However, Song Lao's structure is still worthy of praise, and he dares to admit his shortcomings. So Yang Lin won. Of course. As the audience in the live broadcast room talked a lot, everyone in the quiet room also realized this. The girl with the ponytail looked at Yang Lin in disbelief. As if he couldn't believe that the little Taoist priest in front of him could write better than his own grandfather. At this time, Mr. Song Henian finally regained his composure. Looking at Yang Lin, who was calm and relaxed in front of him, there was a trace of approval in his eyes. Neither arrogant nor impetuous, neither arrogant nor arrogant. It is really rare to be able to achieve such a level at such a young age. "Old man, if I lose, I will give this residual ink to you. Ziu, return the money to me." As soon as these words came out, a look of confusion appeared on the ponytail girl's face. When she was about to transfer money to Yang Lin shook his head. "No need. Since the money has been spent, there is no reason to get it back." Hearing Yang Lin's words, the girl's face suddenly beamed with joy. "Taoist priest, you are such a good person. No wonder you can write so well. Just wait, I'll make you a pot of tea." With that said, she skipped out of the quiet room. After she left, Song Henian spoke again. "Little Taoist priest, I was just an old man and I judged people by their appearance. I'll grind the ink for you right now." At this moment, his attitude has changed 180 degrees. The next second he picked up the remaining ink and started grinding it carefully on the ink stone beside him. At the same time, his eyes glanced at Yang Lin from time to time. At this time, Yang Lin also picked up the previous weapon of traveling around the world again. As he started writing again, the atmosphere in the quiet room became quiet again. Even the other three old men shut their mouths. He didn't dare to breathe too loudly for fear of disturbing Yang Lin. His eyes were like Songhenian's, staring closely at Yang Lin's hand. At this moment, they became more and more curious. Yang Lin spent so much money to buy the most expensive pen and the best ink in Sibazai. What kind of work did he want to write? However, to their surprise, Yang Lin did not start writing after he started writing. The whole person seemed to have been cast a body-holding spell. Not only did his hands freeze in mid-air, even his expression and eyes remained unchanged. If you feel it carefully, you can also find that his breathing has become vague, like a dead tree. Nearly 10 minutes passed like this. The audience in the live broadcast room began to wait a little impatiently. What exactly is going on? Will Yang Lin write about it? Yes, what is he doing? Is it possible that you haven't thought of what to write? It shouldn't be. Or is it difficult to write with someone staring at him here? It feels like I'm trying to make a fool of myself. Just when everyone was wondering why Yang Lin was like this, Yang Lin suddenly moved. He suddenly opened his eyes, and a faint white light flashed out of them. Then his whole aura became ethereal. Although he was very close, the people around him felt as if he had disappeared. In other words, he blends in with his current surroundings. Before anyone could figure out whether this was a real feeling or an illusion, Yang Lin's hands started to move. I saw him first filling the tip of his pen with ink, and then lightly tapping on the white paper in front of him. With one stroke, the people around him suddenly felt as if they had lost focus. You can only vaguely see Yang Lin's brush strokes wandering across the white paper. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Entertainment, let you do a side job and set up a stall to tell fortunes. Author, Immortal Q in Love is. Chapter 313. As Yang Lin's pen tip continued to wander, everyone present suddenly felt the color lost between heaven and earth. Only the black and white colors are constantly alternating. The handwriting that fell with ink seemed to come alive at this moment. In an instant, it transformed into a yin and yang fish that contrasted with black and white. And that piece of white paper turned into chaos. Such a magical change instantly sucked their minds into it. They cannot feel the passage of time or their own existence. It wasn't until the two colors of black and white stopped alternating, and the two elements of yin and yang stopped rotating, that they finally broke away from this illusion. As soon as they regained consciousness, they looked at Yang Lin's pen tip again. At a glance, I saw that the square inch was filled with densely packed small characters. Above this line of small characters are 4 large characters. Tao follows nature. The moment they saw these 4 big characters clearly, everyone felt their hearts trembled, and their eyes could not help but show shock. The 4 words were obviously so familiar, but at this moment they seemed so unusual in their eyes. Just one glance makes one feel at peace, and another glance makes one feel as if he has seen the infinite avenue. However, when they looked carefully, they found that these 4 words were just ordinary and had nothing special about them. This contradictory feeling immediately made several people present look at each other. They really wanted to hear the opinions about these 4 words from each other's mouth, but at this moment the lovers seemed to have lost the ability to organize language, and could not say even a single word. Even the 4 old men with extremely high attainments in calligraphy are no exception. If it were an ordinary work, they would be able to give some pointers and judge it, but they couldn't think of any adjectives after reading these 4 words. After a long silence, they turned their attention from the 4 words Tao Fa Zi to the small words below. As they watched, they silently recited the words. The Tao can be Tao, but it is not Tao, the name can be named, but it is not named. The beginning of the nameless heaven and earth, the name of the mother of all things. They didn't realize it at first, but as they chanted, they gradually realized something. This is the Tao Te Ching. That's right, the line of small characters written by Yang Lin below are clearly excerpts from the Taoist classic Tao Te Ching. This line of obscure Taoist classics has an inexplicable charm in Yang Lin's writing. When reciting, it seems that you can feel that you are in the incense hall. There are ancient scrolls with green lanterns beside you, morning bells and evening drums in your ears, and all worldly disturbances have nothing to do with you. Greed, anger, delusion, hatred, worries, and sorrows are all expelled from the body. What's even more rare is that just by looking at it, I have a lot of insights in my heart. Looking at it again, my feelings are different. After realizing this, their eyes showed uncontrollable wonder. But it wasn't just the content that really amazed them. I saw four old men, Song, Huang, Zhang, and Li, suddenly become excited after reading this Taoist text written by Yang Lin himself. It was like seeing a rare treasure. I understand, I understand, I understand, I finally understand why I haven't been diligent in these years. That's it, that's it. I never expected that I would be able to see such a masterpiece in my lifetime. The calligraphy sage is nothing more than this in his lifetime. The artistic conception is enough to comprehend for a lifetime. As the saying goes, laymen only watch the excitement, while experts watch the door. After experiencing the initial shock, they also gain some insights from Yang Lin's works. To be able to reach the stage they are today, they have reached the end in terms of form and spirit. If they want to go further, they can only understand. And they felt an unprecedented artistic conception in Yang Lin's calligraphy. They really couldn't imagine why such an insight into everything in the world would appear in a young man in his early 20s. And just when they were about to look at it carefully and study it carefully, the ponytail girl who left earlier also walked in carrying a tea tray. When she saw the four old men surrounding Yang Lin, she immediately said without knowing why, "Grandpa, what are you doing? Has the little Taoist priest already written it? Let me see what's written on the trail." As she spoke, she put down the tea tray in her hand and prepared to pick up what Yang Lin had written and take a look. As soon as she stretched out her hand, four murderous eyes looked at her. "Don't come over here. Yes, just stay there and don't move. Put your tea tray further away. If you dare to come close, I will break your legs." Faced with the verbal threats from the four old men, the ponytail girl was also confused. As soon as these words came out, the four old men immediately became energetic, especially Song Henian. Just at this moment, Song Henian, who had left earlier, ran back with a box of ink pads. What happened to him today? He actually wanted to take it out. What's going on? My grandfather has always regarded that box of Long Quan ink pad as a treasure. However, no one would talk about her at this time. The temperament of a money lover is clearly revealed in his words. My grandfather can sell hundreds of thousands of pieces of calligraphy. Why don't you sell tens of millions or hundreds of millions? Yes, yes, I have the best Long Quan ink pad. After dipping it in ink pad, he put the jade seal on the lower right corner of the white paper. Did you give my grandpa ecstasy? At this time, Yang Lin also took out a jade seal from his sleeve. While the ponytail girl was confronting the four old men, Yang Lin, who had not spoken for a long time, suddenly spoke. When he came to Yang Lin, he immediately opened the lid of the ink pad as if offering a treasure. But because of their appearance, they did not open their mouths. What's going on? You guys, I haven't gotten over it yet. And when they learned that this was a birthday gift to the contemporary headmaster of Longhu Mountain, a look of surprise appeared on their faces. Yang Lin did not refuse his request. At this point, this Taoist painting is naturally completed. I secretly used it once, and he opened my buttocks. Later, he locked it in the safe. Because even the remaining three old men looked expectantly. Do you have any ink pads here? And the reward he needs is just to look at it a few more times. Just like the others before, she fell into a daze the moment she saw it. Seeing this scene, the ponytailed girl once again showed a ghostly expression. What on earth makes you babies like this? Yang Lin barely needed to open his mouth before Song Henian volunteered to help frame it. Did you write this word? Just wait, I'll get it for you right away. As soon as he finished speaking, he ran out quickly, not looking like an old man in his 90s at all. As she spoke, she looked at Yang Lin with a strange expression. Until she looked at the words written on Yang Lin's desk. An hour later, the framing work was completed, and Yu Song Henian even took the initiative to send a brocade box. You are really awesome, 10,000 times better than what my grandfather wrote. How about you give me a pair? After she came to her senses, she could no longer suppress her surprise. Entertainment, let you do a side job and set up a stall to tell fortunes. Author, Immortal Q int Love is. Chapter 314. Little Taoist priest, are you saying that this calligraphy of yours is intended to be given to the current master Zhang Tianxi of Longhu Mountain as a birthday gift? In the quiet room, Song Henian's face was full of surprise after hearing Yang Lin's words. After the surprise, a hint of surprise appeared on his face. No wonder the little Taoist master realized this at a young age. It turned out to be the master of Longhu Mountain. It's a coincidence that several of our old brothers and Taoist Zhang have known each other for many years. We got together this time just to go to Longhu Mountain together tomorrow. As soon as these words came out, Yang Lin's eyes suddenly flashed with surprise. He did not expect that these people in front of him were actually related to Longhu Mountain. That's really a coincidence. He, that's right. As they spoke, several people's eyes once again glanced at the scroll held in Yang Lin's hand. After a long time, the four of them said hesitantly, Taoist priest, let's just show off our old faces. It is fate that I can meet the Taoist master today. I dare to ask the Taoist master for a favor again. Of course, if it's inconvenient, I won't force you. As soon as these words came out, these four old men, who were almost 400 years old in total, all looked at Yang Lin. Yang Lin just smiled indifferently. What's the inconvenience? It's just a little ink. After saying that, he walked straight to the desk beside him. Seeing this scene, several old men rushed to study ink for Yang Lin. If this scene fell into the eyes of those who came to ask for words, their jaws would be shocked on the spot. Literati have their own pride, but they have never seen these masters of calligraphy so groveling. Let alone practicing ink for a young man in his early 20s. After several people finished grinding the ink, Yang Lin also picked up a brush in his hand. After some hesitation, the pen tip was dipped in ink. With a flick of his wrist, thick ink left traces on the white paper in front of him. In the blink of an eye, the landing preface with a total of 342 words appeared in front of everyone. For any calligraphy enthusiast, this calligraphy work will be familiar. It can even be said that those with a little bit of attainment will copy. However, the picture written by Yang Lin was somewhat different from what they had seen before. It seems to be the same, but it also seems to be ever-changing. Every word and every stroke gives people a refreshing feeling. Looking at the four old men, they were immersed in these words. By the time they came to their senses, Yang Lin was no longer in the store. At the same time, Yang Lin and others were strolling slowly on the ancient culture street outside the store. With the previous words, the problem of birthday gifts is solved. But since it was still early, Yang Lin thought about shopping here a little more, not only to kill some time, but also to find some treasures here. The magical weapons that were previously refined were somewhat insufficient due to the limitations of their own strength levels. If you want to survive the coming Yangshan tribulation, you must refine a stronger magic weapon. After looking at it, he walked to a stall. The middle-aged stall owner who was watching short videos on his mobile phone immediately started enthusiastically promoting his products when he saw someone coming. Little Taoist priest, you can take a look at them as you like. These are all authentic Taoist artifacts, and they are all old objects. Look at this lightning strike wood token. It's all genuine lightning strike jujube wood. It also has a peachwood magic sword that was consecrated by a master. It can be placed at home to control the house and ward off evil spirits. And this bronze bell and mirror. Before he could finish speaking, Yang Lin casually picked up a so-called lightning strike jujube token. After looking at it twice, he shook his head. Boss, how many volts of high-voltage electricity did you use to strike the jujube wood with lightning? Have you soaked it in potassium permanganate? As soon as these words came out, the stall owner's face suddenly showed an embarrassed look. Hey, I didn't expect that you, the Taoist priest, are also an expert. These lightning-struck jujube trees are indeed fake, but I don't think they are all fake. After saying that, he took out a red cloth bag from under his butt with a mysterious look on his face. After peeling back the layers of red cloth, a simple-looking brass bagua mirror appeared in his hands. Little Taoist priest, this is a good thing. It came down from Longhu Mountain in the early years. I heard it was used by the first generation Zhangtianqi. Most people don't take it out. After saying that, he quickly covered the brass bagua mirror. However, his cautious appearance did not arouse Yang Lin's interest. Instead, it was the red cloth in his hand that attracted Yang Lin's attention. Yang Lin felt a familiar feeling on this seemingly ordinary red cloth. Ah! I won't hide it from you. I picked up this piece of red cloth on Zilong Mountain. It was supposed to be Tai Sui's scarf in the temple on the mountain. I don't know who took it off. Zilong Mountain? Is it the place the boss mentioned just now? It seems to be a tourist attraction now. If the chicken doesn't die, you'll be lucky. This feeling is exactly the same as Hu Santai's before. Little Taoist master, you are indeed an expert. You can tell at a glance that the piece of cloth in my hand is not simple. After that, Yang Lin quickly found some items that he thought were pretty good in this ancient culture market. Teacher Yang, where should we go next? Before entering the scenic spot to buy tickets, I heard bursts of heartbreaking cries. As he spoke, he took the ticket. Yes, it's Zilong Mountain in the west, not far from here. I've heard people say that there are ancient tombs from the Tang dynasty on the mountain over there. People often pick up good things, so I went over to have a look. Some of them are even semi-finished magical weapons from the Dragon Kingdom Taoist section. As long as he practices them properly, they can become real magical weapons. The car immediately drove up and took Yang Lin towards Jilongshan National Forest Park, which is located more than 10 kilometers away from the city center of Luteng City. When he was about to leave Ancient Culture Street, several people from the program team couldn't help but ask. Boss, where did the red cloth in your hand come from? Zilong Mountain? Zhenchan Tai Sui. Yang Lin immediately became curious after hearing these keywords. As soon as this question came up, the boss was stunned on the spot. If you want to be safe, go to the vegetable market and buy some live chickens. As long as the chickens are dead tomorrow morning, you'll be fine. In the end, I didn't pick up anything, so I just followed this red cloth back. But at this moment, Yang Lin suddenly said something. As if he had thought of something, an inscrutable look suddenly appeared on his face. Although they don't understand why Yang Lin wants to go to Zilong Mountain, the program team also knows that they can't ask too many questions. He really didn't expect Yang Lin to ask him this question. By the time they arrived, it was almost noon. Before he could finish speaking, a large pink note was handed to him. The moment he saw this big pink note, he beamed. After some careful explanation, the vendor did not take this matter to heart. Yes, just go there, there should be new customers there. Hey, the little Taoist priest is really refreshing. After leaving these words, Yang Lin continued to walk towards other stalls, leaving only the confused stall owner behind. When he thought of this, he immediately asked without making any detours. Hearing this question, Yang Lin thought carefully before answering. You should go home early today. You collided with Tai Sui, and now you are full of bad luck. There will be a big disaster tonight. Go to Geelong Mountain. Entertainment, let you do a side job and set up a stall to tell fortunes. Author, Immortal Q int Love is. Chapter 315. As a 4A-level scenic spot in Luteng City, Geelong Mountain has vast forests and large wetlands. Even if the entire Luteng City is in a drought period, it is still full of greenery. Therefore, it also attracts many tourists to check in and enjoy the cool weather. When Yang Lin arrived with several members of the program team, many local citizens had already gathered on Geelong Mountain. It's just different from what they thought. At this moment, all of these citizens' faces were full of panic and fear, and a few of them were sitting on the ground with tears in their eyes and kept crying. There were faint traces of blood scattered next to them. Yuan Bao, my Yuan Bao, mother should not have brought you here. It was mother who harmed you. Whoa, who can save our Yuan Bao? Faced with the cries and pleas of several people, the surrounding citizens retreated one after another. From time to time, some people suggest, "It's useless for you to cry now. You'd better call the police as soon as possible. Yes, if you call the police now, maybe your children can be saved. If it's too late, we probably have to wait to collect the body. Where are the corpses to collect?" Just as this group of people gathered around, several members of the program team couldn't help but show doubts. What's going on? Is the child lost? If the child is lost and can't be found, what's the use of crying here? This is a scenic spot after all. Even if we get lost, there shouldn't be any life-threatening danger in a short period of time. But as soon as they finished speaking, an enthusiastic lady next to them said helplessly, "At first glance, you must have just come here. Their child is not lost. You're not lost, that is. It was captured by a tiger," the eldest sister added with a frightened look on her face. After hearing his explanation, the members of the program team immediately looked at each other. Captured by a tiger? How is this possible? Isn't this a scenic spot? Why are there tigers? Did you see it wrong? Perhaps because she saw the filming equipment in the hands of several members of the program crew, the enthusiastic elder sister became more talkative. He even took the initiative to put his face in front of the camera. "You are from the TV station, right? Let me tell you, there is absolutely no way I can see it wrong. It is a tiger, a big tiger over 3 meters long. I watched it rush down the mountain, bite the little boy's neck and run up the mountain." After speaking, she seemed to be worried that the program team would not believe it, so she quickly took out her mobile phone. After finding a video on my phone, I clicked the play button. The video first showed a selfie of the elder sister, and then a colorful tiger appeared. This colorful tiger seemed to appear out of thin air. It jumped out of the mountains in a blink of an eye, and then captured a 6 or 7-year-old boy on the spot. Because the incident happened so suddenly, not only the boy's relatives did not react, but also other tourists present did not notice. By the time they reacted, the boy had been dragged up the mountain. The blood stains on the stone slab were left on the boy's body. After watching the video, the members of the program team, who had already found it incredible, became even more astonished. There really is a big tiger. This kind of thing is simply unheard of. Why would he come down from the mountain to kidnap a child if he was fine? Needless to say, I must be hungry. Luteng City has been in drought for so long. Many herbivores must have escaped. This tiger has nothing to eat, so it can only take risks by going down the mountain. In that case, this little boy is probably in a very bad situation now. Teacher Yang, what do you think about this matter? Where is Mr. Yang? While several people were looking for Yang Lin's figure appeared next to the people who were crying earlier. He first checked the blood on the ground, and then picked up a handful of yellow fluff from the side. After putting it to the tip of his nose and sniffing it, a hint of understanding appeared on his face. and his strange behavior immediately attracted the attention of everyone around him. At first, few people recognized his identity, until one of them, a young man in his early 20s, shouted loudly, "You are Taoist Master Yang Liniang." As soon as these words came out, they immediately attracted a lot of attention. When these people turned their attention to Yang Lin, their expressions also changed one after another. I just said that I felt that he looked familiar, like a celebrity. By the way, I remembered. I saw on the internet that he seems to be in Luteng City during this time. I even saw him in the live broadcast yesterday. There's no doubt, it's him, and he's the only one wearing this outfit. It's great, I finally meet a star. I also said that I had the opportunity to go to the Greenvine building to consult with him in person on some issues. I didn't expect to meet him here today. Teacher Yang, I am your fan, can you take a photo with me? Teacher Yang, can you tell me when I will get rich? Teacher Yang, you can tell me your fortune and see when I can find my Mr. Right. As the onlookers gradually recognized Yang Lin's identity, the atmosphere immediately became complicated. Only the relatives of the little boy who was captured by the tiger still looked heartbroken. Just when the scene was chaotic, a young girl with tears on her face suddenly squeezed in front of Yang Lin. Teacher Yang, please save my nephew. My nephew was just captured by a tiger. I want to know if he can be saved and how we can save him. He is only 6 years old and will go to elementary school soon. Faced with the girl's pleading, the onlookers quickly made room for her. At this time, they still have clear priorities. For a moment, everyone's eyes turned to Yang Lin. And under the gaze of everyone, Yang Lin looked towards the vast mountains. His appearance made everyone more and more confused. It wasn't until more than 10 seconds later that Yang Lin slowly said, "Don't worry, the child's life is not in danger for the time being. The tiger didn't capture him because he was hungry." As soon as these words came out, everyone's faces showed doubts. If it wasn't for food, then why did it take the child? Yeah, it can't be just for fun. Faced with everyone's doubts, Yang Lin quickly gave an explanation. If Pandeo guessed correctly, that big tiger should be lactating now. It's just that its newborn child didn't receive enough nutrition due to drought, so it died young. It cannot bear the pain of losing its child, so it goes down the mountain to plunder the cubs to soothe the pain in its heart. After listening to Yang Lin's explanation, the expressions of everyone present suddenly became weird. They didn't expect that the result would be like this. But Yang Lin's next words really made them feel excited again. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Entertainment, let you do a side job and set up a stall to tell fortunes. Author, Immortal Q int Love is. Chapter 316. Everyone was relieved when they heard Yang Lin say that the big tiger just regarded the little boy as his own child. Until Yang Lin spoke again. Although a tiger will not harm its own children under normal circumstances, if it feels that the child is too weak to feed, it will eat the child. Not just tigers, but all cats have this habit. As soon as these words came out, the little boy's relatives turned pale with fright, especially his parents, who simply could not accept such a result. No way, isn't it said that tiger poison cannot eat its seeds? Yes, as the old saying goes, tigers will not eat their own children. That's a general situation. What Yang Lin said is right. My cat was like this. Once she gave birth to 5 cats, the mother cat ate the 2 weakest ones. Not only is the tiger cub physically weak, but if the tiger cub is contaminated with other smells, the tiger mother will also treat it as another animal. Then isn't this a fool's errand? As they spoke, everyone seemed to have already decided on this outcome. But at this moment, the boy's parents knelt down in front of Yang Lin with a plop. Teacher Yang, you must find a way to save our Yuan Bao. We had been preparing to conceive for several years, and finally we used in vitro fertilization to give birth to him. If he was gone, neither of us would want to live anymore. As he said that, the two of them were about to kowtow to Yang Lin. But before they could knock their heads down, an invisible force stopped them. Get up. Even if you don't say anything about this matter, I still have to take care of it. Before the couple could react, Yang Lin walked straight towards the mountains. Seeing this scene, the program team hesitated for a moment. Are we going to follow? This is too dangerous, that's a tiger. What about the tiger? Do you think Teacher Yang can't beat the tiger? Didn't Teacher Yang ride a tiger last time? It's just a tiger. This time is different. This time it is not only a tigress, but also a tigress that has just experienced the pain of losing her son. She is probably mentally not normal anymore. You cowards, if you don't go, I will. As he spoke, the cameraman trotted after him with his camera on his shoulder. Seeing that the cameraman was already on the scene, the other members of the program team were too embarrassed to stop moving forward. As they trotted along, several people followed behind Yang Lin, fearing that they would fall far behind. After a while, several people entered the deep mountains of Geelong Mountain. Compared with the developed areas outside, there is no difference between the depths of Geelong Mountain and the virgin forest. There are towering trees everywhere, vines everywhere, and thick bushes. In order to facilitate walking, Yang Lin could only draw the sword from his back. With one strike of the sword, a path was cut out of the bushes in front of him. After walking so hard, about 10 minutes later, a group of people came to an airtight mountain col. It was obviously the scorching heat of midsummer, but it was extremely cool in the mountain col, with cool breeze blowing from time to time. However, these cool breezes did not make the program crew feel cool, but instead made them feel a little chilly on their backs. Just as the light became darker and darker, a man-made building suddenly appeared not far in front of them. This man-made building was built for an unknown number of years. It was covered with vegetation and moss, and even some of the walls were slightly damaged. Logically speaking, in such a situation, it should have collapsed long ago. But what is surprising is that this building not only did not collapse, but was relatively well preserved. Except for the previous damage on the walls, the doors, windows, and roof of the building were in a complete state. It can be vaguely seen that it is a temple. How can there be a temple in this deep mountain and forest? Yes, who would build a temple here without fear of being eaten by wild beasts on the mountain? Why do I feel a little weird? It's better that we don't go there. I also have this feeling. However, before the members of the program team had finished speaking, Yang Lin had already walked straight towards the temple. Several people who originally planned to keep a distance saw this, so they could only choose to walk over together. When they got closer, they realized that this was just an ordinary temple, and they could even smell the scent of incense at the temple door. It's just that the light in the temple is too dim, and everyone can't see clearly which god is enshrined in the temple. At this moment, the curious photographer suddenly turned on the light of his mobile phone and shined it into the temple. When bright lights shone on the dark altar, a huge figure suddenly appeared in front of everyone's eyes. I saw this figure lying prone on the altar, with colorful patterns on his body, a head the size of a millstone raised high, and sharp teeth shining with cold light were clearly visible in the huge bloody mouth. Just one glance almost scared the cameraman and several other program crew members to the point of urinating. The whole person was about to collapse to the ground. The camera on his shoulder fell to the ground. Even the viewers in the live broadcast room were scared to death. Oh my God, what was that just now? It scared me to death. Yeah, what on earth is that? Why is there such a thing in the temple? If I'm not mistaken, that should be a big tiger just now. It can't be the big tiger that just took that child away. How is it possible? If it is really that end, the banquet should be open now. Probably just a sculpture. Who would be free to worship a tiger in this deep mountain forest? Although I knew it was fake, I was still so shocked just now that my phone dropped to the ground. In the live broadcast room, when the audience expressed that they were scared, several members of the program team returned to their normal state. When they pointed the camera lens at the tiger statue in the temple again, they felt a long sigh of relief. I was scared to death just now. How could anyone worship a tiger? The key is to portray it so real. I doubted it was real just now. I remembered, the antique seller before said that there was some kind of tai sui on this mountain. This tiger couldn't be it. It should be it. The red cloth should be tied around its neck. While several people were still frightened, Yang Lin also took a look at this small temple. He could feel that there was a lot of karma remaining on this tiger statue, and even a faint consciousness was born. And this consciousness must be that Zhenchan Tai Sui. Just when he was about to step forward to observe further, a huge tiger roar suddenly sounded in the mountain Col. Accompanied by the roar of the tiger, the entire mountain forest seemed to be shaking, and the leaves on the mountain were swishing. In an instant, cold sweat started to flow from the foreheads of several members of the program team. Although they had been mentally prepared before, at this moment they still had no confidence. Subconsciously, they retreated behind Yang Lin. Entertainment, let you do a side job and set up a stall to tell fortunes. Author, Immortal Q int Love is. Chapter 317. Human beings' fear of beasts has been engraved in their bones, even now that humans have occupied an absolute dominance. The moment the tiger roared, fear grew in the mountain Col. Just when the fear in the hearts of the program crew reached its peak, a majestic figure slowly walked out from behind a big tree. The huge body is covered with colorful patterns, and a pair of bright eyes emit a frightening green light in this dark environment. Coupled with the constant low roar like a car engine, the calves of the program crew began to shake unconsciously. Perhaps because they saw Yang Lin in front of them, they did not choose to turn around and escape. Instead, they suppressed the fear in their hearts and pointed the camera lens at the terrifying beast that suddenly appeared. In an instant, the audience in the live broadcast room exploded. It's really that big tiger. It can't be the tiger mother who kidnapped your child earlier. Do you still need to doubt this? There can't be a second tiger in such a mountain. Oh my God, I feel a little scared even through the screen. It's completely different from the tiger in the zoo. How did it grow to be so big? It feels like it's at least one size bigger than the tigers in the zoo. I would like to ask, if an adult man holds a cold weapon in his hand, what is his chance of winning in a fight with it? It depends on how heavy the man is. If he only weighs 100 pounds, he will probably eat it in one meal. If he is a little heavier, he may need to divide it into 2 meals. What if it's 10 grown men? Well, it might strangle this tiger to death. Today's program was really exciting. We were able to see wild tigers up close. I also want to ask a question. If the staff of the program team beat the tiger to death at this time, would they be considered a violation of the wildlife protection law? 6. Just as the audience was talking to each other, several members of the program crew looked at Yang Lin in front of them at the same time. The next second I heard them trembling. Teacher Yang, what should we do now? Do you want to go up and communicate with it? Why do I feel like it doesn't want to communicate with us? Do you think it looks familiar? I remembered, he is exactly the same as the tiger statue in the temple, so it is actually the tiger that is enshrined in the temple, right? Faced with a series of questions from the program team, Yang Lin did not speak for a long time, and just looked at the colorful tiger in front of him indifferently. Perhaps feeling Yang Lin's gaze, the colorful tiger couldn't help but reveal a hint of fear in its eyes. But even so, it still took a few steps forward, and the roar in its mouth never stopped, seeming to be threatening and warning. And under such circumstances, Yang Lin strode towards it. Seeing one man and one tiger getting closer and closer, Everyone's hearts could not help but rise to their throats. Although they knew that Yang Lin had all kinds of magical abilities, they were not sure that Yang Lin would not be hurt at all when facing this crazy tiger. But at this moment, the tiger jumped up high as if it was angered. The huge open mouth and sharp front claws were directed towards Yang Lin. If the bite was serious, even if Yang Lin's body was made of iron, there would still be a few holes left. Seeing this scene, several members of the program team unconsciously exclaimed, "Be careful, Teacher Yang! Teacher Yang, hide quickly!" However, the tiger's movements were too fast. As soon as they said their words, the tiger had already pounced on Yang Lin. So much so that the audience in the live broadcast room were a little afraid to watch. But just when they thought Yang Lin was bound to be hurt, Yang Lin suddenly stretched out his right hand and pushed forward. When this seemingly weak palm collided with the body of the colorful tiger, which weighed over 1,000 kilograms, suddenly flew backwards at an extremely fast speed. This flight was about 10 meters, and it broke a big tree as big as a bowl on the spot. This cave should be the tiger's den. From the looks of it, the tiger mother probably regards him as her biological son. The members of the program team who had just picked up the little boy suddenly didn't know what to do. As soon as the program team members finished speaking, Yang Lin walked towards the tiger in front of them. They didn't expect Yang Lin to defeat the tiger so easily, and the whole process was just a slap in the face. Is this true? That tiger was just beaten away with a palm. When the flashlight illuminated the interior of the cave, a sleeping little boy was lying in a grass nest. It could be seen that its face was full of pain, and even its spine was somewhat twisted and deformed, but it still endured the pain and stood up. He looked at the colorful tiger lying on the ground, and then at the poplar forest with light wind and clear clouds. His eyes were filled with wonder. But before he got close to the tiger, he tried to struggle to stand up, and the roar in his mouth became louder and louder. In the mountain COL, looking at the tiger that fell to the ground, several members of the program team asked cautiously, "Okay, let me do it." No wonder Yang Lin was able to blow up that tank before. Who can withstand this strength? However, Yang Lin acted as if he didn't hear this and kept walking forward. After all, this tiger weighs over 1,000 kilograms, and its palm strength can reach several tons. But in the end, it can't compare to Yang Lin. After struggling for a long time, he finally couldn't stand up. If you want to blame it, I can only blame it for its lack of eyesight. Seeing this scene, it goes without saying that several members of the program team knew who this little boy was. Immediately their faces showed excitement. "Let's go get this baby out." After landing, the tiger wanted to continue struggling, but Yang Lin's palm had already caused it severe damage. Not long after, he came to the tiger, and then opened a bush under the tiger's fierce gaze. "Great, we finally found the child. Teacher Yang, this tiger shouldn't hurt anyone anymore, right?" It was only then that the program team and the audience in the live broadcast room finally reacted. As the bushes were opened, a shallow cave inside was exposed to everyone. Seeing this cave, the program team immediately thought of something, and quickly turned on their flashlights to shine into the cave. Who let him come out to provoke Yang Lin when he has nothing to do? It shouldn't be possible. It looks like it's quite seriously injured. This tiger didn't give him a chance to reason. If it was willing to reason, the result would not be like this. It's good now. This child's parents can finally feel at ease. Our mission is finally completed. However, just when the program team was about to take the little boy out of the cave, the tiger mother suddenly stood up. "He hasn't been eaten yet, so he should still be alive. Who is the tiger? I thought he would go up and reason with the tiger, but I didn't expect it to be so sudden." Entertainment, let you do a side job and set up a stall to tell fortunes. Author, Immortal Q. Int Love is. Chapter 318. The program team obviously did not expect that the tiger that was shot away by Yang Lin could stand up again. It is not a matter of advancing or retreating for a moment. They couldn't help but look at Yang Lin aside again. However, Yang Lin at this time was equally surprised. He knew very well how heavy his own blow was. Although he wouldn't kill the tiger with one palm, it would definitely make it unable to stand in a short period of time. But he never expected that the tiger would use its strong willpower to force himself to stand up. Thinking of this, he looked at the sleeping little boy again. It seems like it really treats him as its own child. After muttering to himself, he immediately turned around and said to the program crew, "Take the children out and leave the rest to Pandeo." With Yang Lin's words, the program crew suddenly became much more courageous, and they hugged the child out of the cave in front of the tiger. When such a picture fell into the eyes of the tiger, it suddenly let out ferocious roars, as if it wanted to stop the program crew. But at this time, Yang Lin was blocking it like an insurmountable mountain. Seeing the little boy getting further and further away from it, it actually jumped up again. Seeing this scene, Yang Lin couldn't help but shook his head. The next second he stretched out two fingers and pointed at the tiger's abdomen. At this moment, the big tiger that had already leaped high fell to the ground again with a plop. The huge tiger body could no longer move even half an inch, and only a pair of tiger eyes were filled with anger, seeming to tear Yang Lin into pieces. When this scene was presented to the audience in the live broadcast room through the lens of the camera, the audience felt inexplicably pitiful. "Oh, why bother? You know clearly that this is not your child, so what's the point of forcing him to stay with you? It just doesn't want to accept that its child is dead. It's just like a mentally ill person in our area. After the child died, he went crazy on the street and thought the child was his own child. So, maternal love is really great. But that's not an excuse for it to kidnap other people's children. If this child stays here for another 2 days, I'm afraid he will die. Sooner or later, Mother Tiger will realize that he is not her child. It's really pitiful." Originally, the survival rate of cubs born in this season should be quite high, but because of this drought, there is not enough nutrition. It would be great if the baby of the tiger mother could live again. How can this be? Just as the audience was sighing, Yang Lin walked into the cave again. When he came out again, there was a cub in his hand that was as big as a house cat. Looking at the patterns on this cub, it is clear that it is a recently born tiger cub. This little tiger was motionless, completely lifeless. No need to guess, this little tiger should be the cub of the big tiger next to it. He just died due to malnutrition. Seeing Yang Lin's actions, several members of the program team who had already hid aside couldn't help but ask, "Teacher Yang, what are you doing? Are you going to tell the tiger mother that her baby is dead? Isn't this too cruel?" Facing everyone's doubts, Yang Lin glanced at them first, and then said, "Who said it's dead? Isn't that what you said before? Although it is dead, it is not completely dead." Ah! Faced with Yang Lin's incomprehensible words, everyone didn't understand what he meant. But Yang Lin himself obviously didn't think about explaining more. He took the little tiger in his hand and walked towards the previous temple of Zhenchan Taisui. And his move once again aroused the curiosity of several people in the program team. When they entered the temple together, they saw Yang Lin holding 3 sticks of incense and placing them in the incense burner in front of the altar. Not long after, a plume of green smoke began to float inside the temple. At first, everyone didn't take it seriously, until the ignited green smoke all gathered towards the tiger statue. "What are you dying of?" It just hiccuped. Listening to this voice, everyone subconsciously started searching in the temple. If the little tiger is really dead, no matter how powerful he is, there is no way to save him. When they first saw this scene, several members of the program team thought they had seen it wrong. At the same time, his right hand is constantly changing his tactics. Just when a few people were at a loss, Yang Lin started to mutter something. Under the smoke, the statue made of clay seemed to come alive. From time to time, whimpers would come out of his mouth. At this moment, Yang Lin reached out and lifted the little tiger off Zhenchan Taisui's head. Several people were so frightened that they quickly retreated. What's going on? Isn't it dead? As soon as Yang Lin finished speaking, the little tiger nodded in understanding. At this time, a milky cry suddenly sounded in the temple. Therefore, the little tiger is no longer the little tiger it was before, but should be called Zhenchan Taisui. A magical scene happened in the next second. A stream of green smoke suddenly burst out from Zhenchan Taisui's body. I saw that the little tiger that was no longer alive now actually opened its eyes. After rubbing his eyes, he looked carefully again. For a moment, everyone's eyes were filled with disbelief. It lasted for nearly half a minute before he stopped what he was doing and put the little tiger in his hand on the head of Zhenchan Taisui, the tiger statue. It's really alive. How on earth this is done, it's amazing. Thinking of this, Yang Lin's eyes immediately looked at the little guy in his arms. Oh my god, this little tiger is alive. All he did was transfer Zhenchan Taisui's weak consciousness into little tiger's body. However, after taking a closer look, I realized that what I just saw was just my hallucination. The tiger statue on the altar remained motionless. The whole process only lasted a few seconds, and then everything returned to normal. Faced with this sudden change, several members of the program team immediately looked at each other. After searching for it, their eyes focused on the top of Zhenchan Taisui's head. Finally they were sure of one thing. Coming back to life in the eyes of others was not the case for him. It should be teacher Yang who saved it. Starting today, you will practice with Pandeo. When Pandeo ascends to heaven, he will make you a protector. At this moment, a small white snake came out of Yang Lin's left cuff. Dead animals can be saved. This green smoke quickly enveloped the little tiger like a living thing. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Entertainment, let you do a side job and set up a stall to tell fortunes. Author, Immortal Q int Love is. Chapter 319. In the temple, as the little tiger came back from the dead, the audience in the live broadcast room was also amazed. At this time, Yang Lin, holding the little tiger in his arms, walked straight out of the temple. Not long after, he arrived in front of the mother tiger. At this moment, the mother tiger lay motionless on the ground, her eyes were empty, and she looked like she was dead. Apparently he has accepted the death of his child. Even when Yang Lin walked up to it, it didn't react at all. Until a familiar cry sounded in its ears. Unconsciously it raised its head. When its tiger eyes looked at Yang Lin's hand, a ray of light suddenly burst out from its originally despairing eyes. His expression also became extremely excited. It tried to stand up, but couldn't control its body. Seeing this scene, Yang Ming immediately put the little tiger in his hand in front of it. The next second the newly reborn tiger cub staggered onto the mother tiger's face. Upon seeing this, the mother tiger hurriedly stretched out her tongue and licked the fur of the cub. Such a picture of Rumu immediately moved the audience in the live broadcast room. It's really gratifying. Mother tiger must be very happy to see her baby alive, right? Needless to say, you can tell just by looking at its expression. Sure enough, the affection between mother and child, whether it is humans or animals, cannot be changed. I think Tiger's mother was heartbroken just now, but now she's fine, happy ending. Yeah, if we just rescue that little boy, the mother tiger might not survive. Yang Lin has really done great things this time. They all made me cry. This is probably the most perfect result. If anyone else came here, there would be no such result. Okay, now we can go back to our respective homes to find our respective mothers. Just as the audience in the live broadcast room was sighing, Yang Lin suddenly squatted in front of Tiger's mother. He just tapped Mother Tiger's body a few times with his fingers, and Mother Tiger regained her ability to move. Then he smoothly restored the displaced spine of the tiger mother to its original position. In an instant, the mother tiger, who had been seriously injured and fell to the ground, became full of life again. Seeing this scene, several members of the program team quickly retreated far away. However, what surprised them was that after the tiger mother recovered, she did not show any desire to attack. He just glanced at them and focused his attention on Yang Lin. The originally fierce eyes now softened. From time to time, low roars came from his throat. Seeing this scene, several members of the program team couldn't help but marveled again. Why did this tiger mother become so gentle all of a sudden? Maybe it knows that teacher Yang saved its child. It should be expressing its gratitude. I didn't expect that even animals know how to repay kindness. This big tiger is not ordinary smart. What is it talking to teacher Yang now? How do I know this? If you can, ask it. Then forget it. Just when the program team members were both curious and scared, a hint of surprise flashed in Yang Lin's eyes. As others may have imagined, the tiger mother was expressing her gratitude to him. In addition to thanking her, Tiger's mother also revealed another piece of information. A piece of information related to Gelong Mountain. After Yang Lin listened to Tiger's mother's story, he had a clear idea. The next second he turned around and said to the program crew, "You guys wait here for Pandeo, Pandeo needs to leave here for a while." At this moment, the mother tiger also turned and walked towards the depths of the jungle. Facing this sudden scene, several members of the program team were stunned at first, and then said in horror, "No, Teacher Yang, you leave us here in the deep mountains and forests. What if we encounter other wild animals? Yeah, it's so dark. God knows what's going on here. You'd better take us with you, we're a little scared." As they spoke, several people looked around, and the more they looked at them, the more panicked they became. Yang Lin couldn't help but shook his head when he saw the appearance of several people. "I have to try it first before talking." Seeing this scene, the program crew squeezed into the circle without saying a word, together with the boy who had been rescued earlier. However, in the face of the concerns of several members of the program team, Yang Lin ignored them this time. He turned around and followed the tiger mother's footsteps into the dense forest. Until Yang Lin pointed at the circle and said, "If any danger occurs, then Pandeo may not be able to take care of you. Where do ghosts come from in this world? Even if there are ghosts, staying in this circle will keep you safe." When his back disappeared, his voice came again. "All you need to do to stay here is to arrange some small measures to ensure that you are safe and sound." After walking in Gelong Mountain for who knows how long, a special terrain sandwiched by 3 mountains appeared in front of Yang Lin. Before Yang Lin could react, a shadow shrouded his head. "You go in, as long as you are still in this circle, no snake, insect, rat, ant, jackal, tiger or leopard will harm you." Then he used the incense ash to draw a big circle in front of the temple. "The place Pandeo is going to is even more dangerous than here. Are you sure you want to come with me?" Seeing that several members of the program team agreed, Yang Lin walked into the Tai Sui temple in Zhenchan again. When he came to the altar, he casually grabbed a handful of incense ashes from the incense burner. At first, a few people didn't quite understand the intention of Yang Lin's move. There is no doubt that Mother Tiger brought him here to repay his kindness. Now the program team finally believed it. Just when the program team was praying that nothing would happen. As he spoke, a staff member found a big bug from the side and placed it next to the incense ashes. When he looked up, he saw a strange bird the size of a small passenger plane rushing straight towards him. Well, we'll stay here and wait for you." Just one glance at Yang Lin showed surprise in his eyes. After hearing Yang Lin's words, the few people who originally wanted to follow him suddenly looked at each other. As the voice became fainter, Yang Lin's figure finally disappeared. What surprised him was that the big insect turned around and ran away as soon as it got close to the incense ash. It happened several times. At this moment, the tiger mother suddenly let out a low growl again, as if she was wary of something. Really? Is it really that magical? No matter how you look at it, this is an excellent feng shui treasure land, and judging from the shape of the terrain, there must be a large tomb below. As soon as these words came out, the faces of several members of the program team suddenly showed expressions of disbelief. The person buried was either rich or noble. But soon they thought of another problem. Teacher Yang, this circle is only protected against snakes, insects, rats, ants, jackals, tigers and leopards. What if it is a ghost? While surprised, Yang Lin also looked at the tiger mother aside again. Yang Lin also followed the steps of the tiger mother, and the little tiger took this opportunity to hang on to him again. Entertainment, let you do a side job and set up a stall to tell fortunes. Author, Immortal Q int Love is. Chapter 320. Previously, Yang Lin's attention had been focused on this geomantic treasure, so he did not carefully observe the surrounding situation. It wasn't until the tiger mother roared that he realized there was danger approaching. The moment he looked up, he saw a giant strange bird with a wingspan of more than 10 meters flying towards it. Before it was completely close, the strange bird opened its claws. The cold light between the claws made people's scalp numb. If a normal person were caught by it, he would probably be gutted and mutilated on the spot. But Yang Lin is obviously not among them. The moment the strange bird was about to approach him, he waved his sleeves. In an instant, an invisible airflow hit the strange bird. Caught off guard, this menacing strange bird was knocked directly to the ground, and its gray-black feathers scattered all over the ground. I couldn't get up from the ground for a long time. Seeing this scene, the mother tiger was about to pounce on it, but Yang Lin on the side signaled it to stop. Although the tiger mother was a little confused, she still followed Yang Lin's instructions and stopped. At this time, the strange bird struggled to stand up, opened its big mouth, and let out bursts of warning chirps. The slightly hoarse voice instantly echoed throughout the mountains. The next second it flapped its wings and tried to attack Yang Lin again. However, how could he be Yang Lin's opponent? Yang Lin just waved his hand casually and it flew backwards for about 10 meters. After several twists and turns, the strange bird was finally frightened by him. He turned around and wanted to fly towards a big mountain in front of Yang Lin. But how could Yang Lin let it leave so easily? With a flick of his finger, an invisible energy hit a key note on the strange bird's body. The strange bird immediately fell to the ground before it had time to take off. Seeing this scene, Yang Lin also had a slight smile on his face. Walking at a leisurely pace, he soon arrived in front of the strange bird. Looking at the huge size of the strange bird and its appearance that looked like an eagle but not an eagle but not an eagle, Yang Lin's eyes first flashed with curiosity, and then he seemed to have discovered something, and he casually pulled off a stick from its body. Feather. At the same time, the other hand also reached into the sleeve, and after some groping, a few feathers also appeared. And these feathers are exactly the ones I bought from Tenguzai before. If you look closely, you will see that they are exactly the same as the feathers on the strange bird. It turns out that these hairs come from your body. It seems that we have a lot of fate. Tell me why you attacked Pandeo for no reason. After speaking, Yang Lin quietly waited for the answer from the strange bird in front of him. The strange bird obviously had a very high IQ. Its golden eyes rolled around for a while, and then it let out strange screams. To ordinary people, this is just bird chirping without any meaning. But in Yang Lin's ears, they were like normal speech. After the strange bird screamed for a long time, a look of understanding appeared on his face. So that's it? How can you grow so big? It turns out you have benefited from this geomantic treasure. Your master should be the person buried in this geomantic treasure land. It was he who asked you to guard this place. At this time, Yang Lin finally understood why the strange bird attacked him. Because of this, he became more and more curious about the people buried in this geomantic treasure place. Obviously, the person who can choose such a treasure land must be proficient in the art of Feng Shui and Kanyu, and also know how to keep exotic animals in captivity. His identity during his lifetime must not have been simple. Thinking of his purpose of coming here, Yang Lin casually clicked on the strange bird. The strange bird that was originally unable to move also regained its ability to move again. Just at this moment, Yang Lin's voice came from the side. Take Pandeo to see the burial place of your master. Hearing Yang Lin's words, strange bird's first reaction was unwillingness. But before it could react, it felt a powerful aura pressing on it. It seemed that as long as it said half a word, it would die immediately. Needless to say, it also knows where this powerful aura comes from. Immediately the strange bird quacked twice. The next second it walked forward in a hurry without any reluctance. After a while, it took Yang Lin to the foot of the mountain. The foot of this mountain is where the Mingtang of the Feng Shui pattern that Yang Lin saw earlier is located. The terrain is extremely open and there is no clue at all. No clues related to the ancient tomb could be found. Even people who are proficient in Feng Shui and Kanyu can only look at the mountains and sigh when they come here. At this moment, the strange bird suddenly tapped a boulder nearby with its beak. The boulder seems to be formed naturally, shaped like a rooster, with its head raised high and facing the east, like a golden rooster crowing the dawn. In an instant, Yang Lin knew where the ancient tomb was. In order to further verify, he immediately released his spiritual consciousness to explore the surroundings. After a while, a huge underground cavity was discovered about 10 meters behind the boulder. After taking a deep look at the strange bird, Yang Lin walked to that location. At this moment, a hint of cunning suddenly flashed in the strange bird's eyes, as if he was extremely looking forward to Yang Lin opening the entrance to the underground palace. But what he didn't expect was that after Yang Lin arrived at the designated location, he didn't start digging immediately. Instead, he closed his eyes silently. In the next second, items appeared in front of Yang Lin out of thin air. In a short time, a small mountain was piled up in front of him. And everything that made up this hill smelled of decay and moisture. I don't know how many years have passed. Some of the objects have been completely changed beyond recognition, and their original appearance cannot be seen. But some things are still as good as new. The moment he saw these things, the strange bird felt as if he had seen a ghost. I almost spoke in a hurry. Obviously it knows these things. In response, Yang Lin just smiled proudly. The owner of this tomb is really powerful. Not only did he set up the Kimen magic circle outside the tomb, he also set up various mechanisms inside the tomb. As long as the tomb robbers enter it, they will be killed by all the mechanisms inside in an instant. But he certainly didn't expect that there are people in this world who can take out all the things inside the tomb. I want to see what you have buried so hard. After saying that, he turned his attention to the pile of things on the ground. After careful inventory, I discovered that most of these things were related to Taoism. In addition to most of the Taoist classics, the other part includes various Taoist utensils. Taoist robe, Taoist scarf, magic sword, magic ruler, and magic seal. There is no doubt that the owner of this tomb was a Taoist priest during his lifetime, and he was also a Taoist priest with a high status. After his death, he put everything he owned together with his body into this Feng Shui treasure. As for his purpose, Yang Lin guessed that he should be in seclusion here to seek the method of immortality. The result is beyond doubt. Thinking of this, he hurriedly checked the things in front of him carefully again.